What's next for the coronavirus maelstrom? Meat shortages. Bloomberg is reporting hundreds of National Guard personnel are being activated in Iowa as coronavirus sweeps through meat processing plants in a state that accounts for about a third of U.S. pork supply. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds said 250 National Guard members have been moved to full-time federal duty status and could help with testing and contact tracing for workers at plants operated by Tyson Foods Inc. and National Beef Packing Company, as the meat packing plants affected are stacking up nationwide.
Coronavirus cases in Iowa's Black Hawk County have doubled in recent days to 356. And public health officials say 90% trace back to employees at this Tyson meat packing plant. Their outbreak is not an isolated case. CBS News has confirmed COVID cases in at least 17 meat processing plants in 10 states, 13 of which have temporarily closed or are operating at reduced capacity.
Back in 2013, when President Obama was re-engineering U.S.-China relations to reflect the emerging Chinese century, Obama made statements like the one published by the left-leaning think tank Brookings Institution, stating, "Obama understands that leadership comes with a price, and thus the United States cannot have leadership without strength. At the same time, he recognizes that the United States, quote, must be aware of the rise of emerging economies and its impact on the New World Order," end quote. Part of this era of Chinese handouts included the buyout of Smithfield Packing Company, the largest pig and pork producer in the world.
Yes, folks, it's 300 years of tradition and taste you savor when you ask for a Smithfield barbecue, James River brand, at our refreshment center.
And you taste and lose your mind.
Bought out by what was then known as Shanghai Group for $4.72 billion in 2013. It was the largest Chinese acquisition of an American company to date. The acquisition of Smithfield's 146,000 acres of land made Shanghai Group, headquartered in China's Hainan province, one of the largest overseas owners of American farmland in the world. In addition to owning over 500 farms in the U.S., Smithfield contracts with another 2,000 independent farms around the country to grow Smithfield's famous holiday hams.
Is the food supply going to be protected? At the end of the day, is China going to pick the Chinese versus America? Because they'll now control what percentage of the U.S. pork production. There'll be a very large percentage.
I think to your constituents back home, it's the same old Smithfield. Nothing's going to change. This is going to be an American company. We're going to continue to operate like an American company, and we're going to continue to protect these brands.
Shanghai is buying Smithfield for its brand name and to assuage the horrible reputation that China has so far as food production goes and exports of food. It's gene technology. Competitors will now be dealing with a Shanghai Smithfield that's as inscrutable as any other Chinese company. Any sorts of information will not be made public, for example. It'll go through that morass of Chinese dissemination.
China's looking at this as an opportunity to feed their people.
One of the concerns or questions I have is whether or not your brand, which will be put on Chinese pork, which has been less than stellar, is going to be a problem for your brand down the road.
I have spoken to people in China, and this acquisition is being very carefully monitored. There are other companies that are waiting in the wings to buy more companies.
However, as Reuters reported, Arnold Silver, Smithfield's director of raw materials procurement, said at a recent industry conference that sales to China could eventually create bacon and ham shortages for American consumers. The outbreak of African swine fever has killed up to half of China's hog herd since August of 2018 and pushed prices so high that Chinese importers are willing to pay hefty tariffs. U.S. pork producers say China's losses from the disease have created a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for sales.
Officials in Shanghai are weighing in on the effects of thousands of dead pigs that have been discovered over the course of last week, and they've admitted that the quality of the drinking water was in fact affected.
Shanghai authorities are going back on statements last week that the water in this river is safe to drink. More than 9,000 pigs have now been found floating down the Huangpu River. Initial water samples revealed trace amounts of a common pig virus, the novel coronavirus.
Shanghai could insert local hogs and re-export processed food back to the U.S. under the Smithfield brand.
The shipping off of American pork to China during a pandemic caused by the Chinese shouldn't sit well with any American.
But now the World Food Program analysis shows also, due to the coronavirus, that an additional 130 million people could be pushed to the brink of starvation by the end of 2020. That's a total of 265 million people.
Meanwhile, China just reported another case of African swine fever, just 1 in a dozen cases in the last 2 months, devastating the Chinese herd and increasing demand from U.S. pig farms. And now the Chinese coronavirus threatens American food producers. China's coronavirus is nothing short of an act of war disguised in no-fault propaganda, putting millions out of work, decimating small businesses, bringing our education system to a standstill, and undermining our food supply, while China openly celebrates the death of American democracy. John Bowne reporting.